Good morning, good morning. How's everyone doing today? How are ya? Welcome, Friday. Back up and running. Had a few minor issues with some internet connectivity. Really bad storm. Thunder, lightning, all the works. It actually struck a tree out in my property, split the tree, top portion of the tree in half, threw wood all over the place. So it was back and forth with technicians, but we finally got things up and running and working properly. So it's nice to see you back at it again. So I wanted to go through the markets today and see what has transpired. I do have to do some updating on my charts. I have to update some of the supply and demand, which I will be doing today. And then I'll be updating the observation journals on the school forum so that you have all the updated analysis, updated supply and demand and trend lines that the banks have created, the charts. So welcome. Welcome. You read something about it? Yeah, up here in Muskoka it was pretty bad. It's pretty bad. The lightning was tremendous. I actually lost some equipment. My TV doesn't work. My surround sound system doesn't work. Even though I have surge protection on the house and all that, it still managed to blow some of those electronics away. My computer survived. So, quite crazy how that took place. So, welcome back. So we'll get started. Let's see. All right, so we're looking at the dollar chart right now. Okay, and as we can see, it's still holding that area of supply on the weekly chart. We had a slight push up, but that supply zone is still holding. That's the key thing that I want you guys to remember. The supply zone is still holding. All right, so let's take a look here. Let's enlarge this chart so you can see that this area here is the area that we are speaking about. And as I've been mentioning for quite some time, this is a very key supply zone that we have on the chart, right? Because if this supply zone gets removed by the banks, then a whole different perspective is going to come into play here. A whole different perspective is going to come into play. So, because if that zone gets taken out, then there's no stopping price from heading up much higher. If this zone holds, then what we expect to happen with price moving forward should continue to happen. We should continue to see a big drop like this, just because of this zone holding. Okay? So, it still hasn't been removed, so as far as we are concerned, we are still expecting it to. Okay? Now, if we drop down to the daily chart, we can see that it's this area up here that we're talking about. That price is still holding. And we want to see it drop like this. Okay? So there's an institutional area of demand right here. If this gets taken out, it will open up the floodgates for a move lower. Okay, so we'll see as price plays out. It's taking its time. It is definitely taking its time, so we just have to be patient. Because trading it at this point would not be a good idea. Okay, it would not be a good idea. So we can look at the other markets to see why it is taking this long and what will likely take place coming next week. All right, so let's take a quick look at what gold is doing. And we see that gold started to make that move to the upside that we were talking about on the weekly chart. And now just curled over and is pulling back down. So it's still holding that area of demand. And we're still waiting to see if we're indeed going to get that push up to that area of supply, because that is what I'm suspecting. I'm suspecting that the price will continue to the upside, head up towards that area. Let's take a look at what's happening with oil. All right, oil. So we got that drop in price that we were talking about. But look where it contacted. You see where it contacted? This is institutional demand. Okay, so we had that drop, right? Remember, retail traders were getting in long right at the top there. And as they were getting out of their short positions, the banks took those short positions, which fueled this move to the downside here. Okay, fueled the move to the downside. And now, if we take a quick look at the positions held by traders, look, they're getting back in short. They're getting back in short as price is contacting that area of demand. Okay, so they caught in short as price contacted demand, and now look what's happening. Straight back up. Okay, very interesting. So in terms of the weekly chart, we still have an upward trend. The weekly chart, nothing has changed, still have an upward trend. A monthly chart, as we've spoken about before, we don't have any trends here on the monthly chart. So a lot can take place, but let's take a look here. Yeah. Notice something there. So it can still rally up from here, that's for sure, because of the weekly trend, but we'll see how this week closes. So far it's looking really good, like it will close above the trend line, which is a very good sign for a continued move to the upside. So we'll wait and see how that takes place. If it does continue upwards from here, we will need to see this area of supply get removed on the daily chart, and then price will be free to move back up. Okay, so that looks pretty good. It looks very decent for a continued move up. Okay, which would lead us to suspect that the USCAD will fall, right? Because oil gets strong, Canadian dollar is suspected, or the Canadian dollar would be suspected to continue getting stronger. So that would mean it turning over and dropping. So we will take a look at that one as well. Actually, we can go over to it now and see what's the situation with the USCAD. Okay, so we already have some weakness that came in. Yeah, price rallied up nicely, and then some weakness came in. So we are responding to an area here. Okay, this is a good imbalance. Right here, price was consolidating and then a big drop. We have not determined that this area is an area of supply. So how much of a force to the downside here is in question. It could be strong, it could be weak. It's hard to say because, like I said, that is not an institutional area of supply. But when we look at oil and we see that that uptrend is still holding and there's a very good chance it can continue upwards, that would lead us to suspect that there's a good chance that we can see price starting to decline from these highs. Okay, and another thing I'll point out is the dollar rallied recently and is inside that supply area that we were speaking about. So it's inside supply, and this one was rallying up quite dramatically. Why? Because there wasn't anything to really stop it. Okay, we had an area of supply here, but the trend was already broken, the weekly chart. So it wasn't going to have much strength to hold price down. So that's why we got that very big, strong burst to the upside as the dollar was holding. That is a good sign, because if price is indeed going to hold these highs and start dropping with momentum, it would be fueled by the dollar and the supply area that's currently in play in the dollar. So there's a very good chance that we see a push down from here. Aussie. So the Aussie has definitely had some weakness. we were talking about a very good chance of price declining until it gets to the area of demand lower on the chart before any type of move to the upside. So as we can see, it is currently reacting from some demand here. So this would need to be taken out for that continuation of that move to the downside. Okay. But everything else looks okay. So that move to the downside, we were forecasting that, and that has taken place. So we'll see if price starts to build momentum here and then start moving to the upside, because there's a good possibility that that happens. So we'll be keeping our eye on that one. Euro US dollar, still holding the area of demand. So very similar to the dollar. Okay, there's sometimes there's slight changes in in the location of price. Like right now we have this area of demand on the weekly chart, just like the dollar has an area of supply on the weekly chart. But sometimes we have a specific move that takes place on one chart before it takes place on the other. Like if this was to be taken out and price was down here, okay, and the weekly area of supply holding on the dollar. But in this case, both scenarios are very similar. Price just inched a little bit lower into demand, but at the end of the day, demand is still holding. Okay. And if we open up the daily chart here, we're located down here inside that weekly area of demand. And inside there, there's a daily area of demand right here, and that is still holding. If we were to get a momentum shift here to the upside, there's a lot of room here for price to move. We're in the 117.70s. It can easily move up to the 121s if momentum was to start shifting to the upside. So for that to happen, let's take a look at the 4-hour. And we can see that it's holding a nice trend line here. So if we break this trend line and start moving upwards like this, we can see that trigger a bigger move to the upside. Okay, but for now, it's just holding. Okay, and for some time. I mean, look how many weeks it's been that we've been here at this area of demand. Multiple weeks. Okay. How much longer are they going to hold it there for? It's not for us to try to determine that, because we can't. This is live trading by the banks. If they're going to hold it here for the next week, we don't know if that's what they're going to do. If they're going to push it up from here, they could do that next week or the following week. We don't know. So we watch the lower time frame charts to see if they can give us any type of indication as to what they're going to do, but that's about it. That's all we can. Let's just take something here. We got that situation here right now. So that trend line is very, very weak. So we can definitely see that push to the upside take place. And would it happen this week? Well, we still have many hours until the day's over. It could start happening today. Or maybe next week. Very possible. But with demand in play, I'd have to say the odds are that we are going to get a push to the upside. How's our pound doing? Yeah, so it dropped. It broke the trend line. Yeah, and it dropped. And it's reacting from nothing, as I've mentioned before. If we do get momentum on this chart, it won't be because of anything that is specifically happening on this chart. It'll be because the other markets are fueling this move. Okay, there is no demand here on the side. So price could technically drop, but it would only be fueled by strength in the dollar. Okay, so if the dollar decides to drop from supply, we can expect this to just continue upwards. Okay, and not because it's reacting from it, just because of the other markets fueling the Let's take a look at the Kiwi, see what's going on there. We see here. So Kiwi's still holding that area of demand on the weekly chart that we've been talking about as well. Kind of looks similar to the euro in terms of price inching its way lower, but still holding the area. So there's no reason to suspect that price is going to drop unless this area was to get taken out. That's the bottom line. Okay. And we looked at the USCAD already. Let's take a look. US Swiss, see if there's any early indications of a price drop. Not much here. We have an area of supply here that price is reacting to, but at the end of the day, the weekly chart is the one that is the important one. Price reacted to demand to the upside, has not yet hit supply, sitting in the middle of the ocean here. So wind picks up, it can move north. Wind picks up to the south, we can see price drop. So there's nothing to really indicate what would be taking place on this chart. So we move on and we look at the US dollar Japanese yen. We know that price contacted some supply up here, monthly chart, and it's still holding, just like the dollar. Okay, just like the dollar. This was a really good trade on the 15-minute chart. Supply, down, exit, and then it reverses upwards. Any of you catch that trade? That was an amazing, amazing trade. Amazing call. Really. And let me see here. Let's see. Yeah. A lot of students did take that trade as well. That entry, I mean, you could be more accurate. And that's what I keep talking about when people say, oh, can you use your system for day trading? Yeah, absolutely. You could use it for day trading to find pristine entry points. I mean, how much more accurate can you get that? Timing an entry short. Like that. That. Short orders just below supply, stop loss just above. Look at the risk to reward. How much risk you put on as opposed to how much reward there is. Really. Entry. That's the power of locating the supply and demand and understanding the sequence that is taking place. The charts. So, so now we're seeing a little bit of strength after the initial push down, but we still have supply on the higher time frames holding. Okay, no major supply areas have been taken. So we could still see a drop to come. If you got a chance to hit that like button, how many likes we have? Only 5? Come on, boys and girls. Let's hit that like button. Let's get it up to at least 30 today. That'd be nice. Hit that like button for me. So that's all the major markets. We can take a quick look at Bitcoin slowly dropping. Nothing's really changed with that one. Reached lows of 29. That's really brutal. Really brutal for those holding longs. Removed a couple areas of demand, it seems. Yeah, but still holding this weekly area. Just not looking good for this weekly area. Yeah, we could still get a move. As long as that zone holds, we can still receive a move to the upside on Bitcoin, but, you know, I wouldn't be putting my money on it. I'd be waiting for proof of that move to take place before anything. Let's see what we got here in terms of the other markets. Curious to see what's going on there. The SPY. We're still at all-time highs. Very strong. Very strong. Oh, and we just responded from another area of demand. Yeah. Price declined. Contacted another area of demand. Now fueling the upside. The chart. Daily chart. Let's take a look. We have supply located here, which we are inside of. Once that area of supply gets taken out, it clears the path to the upside, and so it's looking very strong. No reason to suspect that we're going to get a drop in price. NAS 100, let's take a look at that one. Same thing, very strong to the upside. A retrace, did not hit any demand on the weekly chart. Daily chart, how does that look? Yeah, we have something that just took place here. Yeah, area of supply here at the highs has just been removed, which opens up the path higher. So if what's taking place on this chart is any indication of what could take place on the SPY, we should expect the that area of supply on the daily chart to get removed. Price head higher. US 30. Yeah, very strong too. That supply is still holding for quite some time, isn't it? Look at that. And price just got really close to taking out that proximal line, but it's still holding. So could continue to hold. Once it gets taken out, opens up the floodgates for a move higher. Yep, so that's about it. If you have any questions, we'll get to it. I mean, it's been a long week. Some stuff has happened, but overall, there hasn't been any major shifts in the market from what I'm seeing. Okay, no real large dynamic shifts. Everything is still in play. Our outlook is still the same. Nothing has really changed in terms of the bigger picture. So we should be still on track. Okay, the COT data will be coming out later today, so we'll take a look at that and see if it's giving us any indication of anything. But I haven't seen anything that would tell me that there's going to be any major dynamic shifts. Okay, we still expect gold to head higher. We still expect the dollar to drop. We still expect the euro to head higher. So, and unless they show us something different, we should consider those things to continue taking place. So what do you guys have to say? Questions? The level 3 session is going to be starting in 35 minutes. Then we'll delve into the charts a little bit deeper. But I think I think this is a good update. Like I said, there's not much more to discuss since there really isn't anything any big happening that should throw us off from what our plan has been. Yeah, so it's quite brutal this week. I have a whole surround sound system for my home theater that's not working. And my large screen TV not working. So a little bit out of sorts in terms of our entertainment system, but be figuring that out. Yeah, so what time we got? 9:26. Alright, so if there's any questions, let me know. If not, I'll be letting you guys go. Doesn't seem like there's any questions right now, so So that's it. We'll wrap it up there, and I'll be posting some of the CFTC positions later today. And that's it. Okay? We'll see you in the Telegram channel, and have yourself a... Take care, everybody.